Casey, hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening. Good morning to you. What's on your mind today? Big topic you've been thinking about.
Well, I thought we
Huge.
could bring it back around with one of our last discussions about different relationship issues between the sexes, men and women, and where society's been pushing it lately, and what some of these solutions might be to those problems. Um, the problems being, dissolving of the families. Children being raised in single parent homes that are more problematic for like crime within the youth and lower expectations with life goals, things like that.
Mm.
And so, what is the solution to all this, right? Other than incubators, which I think are on the horizon as well as one of the solutions presented by the technocracy out there. I think this is all by design, by the way. This is the destruction of the family home, the problems between the sexes, and the solution is going to be like, oh, you can just grow your baby in this bag and program it the way you want to. And people be like, wow, it's amazing. Let's do that.
Right.
But I think we lose a lot in the human experience by going that route. So I'm going to advocate for resolving the problems between the family. But I don't know. I guess we could take it to the extreme at first and be like, well, we can incorporate both ideas of Hinduism and Muslims with arranged marriages and complete control of the feminine. But that might be a little bit radical.
I don't think that works so well these days.
But maybe there's some aspects to control within that too. Maybe we can understand what their thinking was behind arranged marriages and complete suppression of the feminine within the public, and maybe get some gems out of that. I think I've thought a lot about this whole like arranged marriage thing for a while. The older I get, the more attractive it becomes as a solution to like all the crap I had to go through, and I know you've had to go through. Here we are later in our life for sure, and can't really have too many of these successful relationships under our belts.
Right.
Um, for a variety of reasons. Mostly it's because we always feel like there's going to be another chance or another opportunity or somebody else down the road. But I think the reality is that those opportunities are quite limited in one's life, very realistically, in order to create like a stable family home, stable relationship, working towards shared goals, all that sort of thing. And so for me, the dynamics of an arranged marriage resolve a lot of that right at an early age, and it kind of turns over that decision making ability to the mature generation, your parents, who apparently love you a great deal and have want the best for you, and have spent probably decades trying to figure this out for you, and so that you're going to be the most successful with that. So I think we need to revisit that idea. I think there's a lot of value to trying to find like a proper mate for your son or daughter. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, there's a lot of success that happened in the past with the whole arranged marriage thing. It seems to be have a high success rate. Don't know how happy those couples are throughout the marriage, especially when they're getting older, you know. And I think why they couple together in the first place, obviously the parents find that they're the best fit for each other, maybe not personality wise, but the families get along, monetary reasons, which are still important, very important. Um, so I think families are created with a certain intention. And I think that's a real important point. Whether it's arranged or not, there's a specific intention behind it. In this day and age, a lot of families aren't created with much intention, to be
Right.
honest.
I think that's the main point. I think that's one of the main points of doing arranged marriages is because without arranged marriages, men and women are just out having, sexual relationships with different levels of expectations on that. The women themselves might be finding who they see as a partner, more so than like say the men who are just looking to hook up.
Right.
Traditionally, that's not the case all around, but that could be a trend within that. I know that both men and women are very impressioned by their sexual experiences,
Yeah.
and particularly with women, it's known that they, in the beginning stages, are very much like chemically attached to the people that are their sexual partners. It's probably to a great extent men as well. And so when you have multiple partners in their youth, that can like destroy that ability to connect with a partner for whatever, if you're going towards creating a family and strong bonds with your mate. That could be a desirable characteristic to preserve. But something else too is like in their youth, I can't think. I can remember I couldn't think straight as an 18, 20, 25-year old, a male. I don't know if it's just because of the conditions of our society today, but it seems like dealing with those hormonal changes of adolescence is just absolute fire. So they're like, I'm not going to probably make best decisions on like how to procure, family and fortunes moving forward in a productive way, finding a mate at that age, and maybe, taking advantage of the youth of women and the youth of men in those high productive years, reproductive years, is something that needs to be steered a bit by the older generation.
Yeah. I think so. I think, like going back to the arranged marriage thing, there's also preparation. The parents are preparing the children for marriage, whether it's arranged or not. It's preparing them like their mentality for, how you treat your woman, how a woman treats her man, what happens when you come together, being faithful, and religion also comes into it. There's morals, there's integrity in that. There's a lot of these important things which I don't feel like are actually really taught in this day and age, and from what I see, a lot of kids that have grown up in my age group were parented by single parents. There's a huge percentage of children that have grown up, without 100% time of the with the father or the mother, like 50-50 or whatever it is, or a lot of kids that have grown up just with their mother and the dad will come and visit whenever, or even vice versa. So it's quite hard to instill all of these, a strong moral compass, or even just to model what a good family is, So I'm not surprised that these kids that have grown up in single parent families kind of grow up and kind of end up doing the same thing. So they're not really modeled very well. Marriages aren't modeled well. And a lot of marriages don't succeed in this day and age. It's just a fact, you know.
Like half of them, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a huge amount. Yeah, I've seen it. Like, I see it a lot in the industry I used to work in the construction industry. A lot of the majority, well, here in Australia, it's a big thing, the single parents, one of the either the generally the mother brings up the kid and the father usually pays the child support and sees the child when he can. That's broad, but that seems to be a trend that's happening, or couples are far too willing to break up and split um, without really giving it a go, without really sticking to their commitment. Or they don't even make commitments to each other. They kind of maybe just, meet someone, oh, I like you, you like me, sure. We have sex a few times, bang, there's a baby. Oh, whoops, what are we going to do now? Oh, let's keep it. Let's try and work this out. And
Right.
a lot of
Yeah.
the
I mean,
times
it's
it
like a
doesn't work.
disaster from the beginning. Like
It
these
doesn't work.
plans, like having a prearranged marriage sets the goalposts. It sets the parameters for what this is about. What are we
Right.
doing here?
Right.
It's like, how do we have guiding principles in order to be successful with this?
Right.
And so it's set up for a win, from the beginning.
It
You
is.
got the support of the families from the beginning.
Yeah.
there's like might be a dowry that they try to put together, like a nest egg for them.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to this arranged marriage thing. And I know, like within the modern age, and it might be just programmed into us. It's like, oh, but what about choosing your own, find the perfect thing? I don't know about all that. Like, I'm pretty confused as a youth, um, about what's like, yeah, I don't know what to say about all that matching personalities and sort of thing. Maybe it's because I'm just jaded after, 40 years out there trying to like do the whole relationship thing. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, for me,
I
it's more like, what are we doing together, right? Like, this isn't about a friendship as much as we romanticize the idea about, oh, I want to find my partner that I connect, my soulmate. We're going to be close together for the rest of our lives. It's like, I feel like that needs to be developed because the person changes, you grow, maybe together, maybe apart, but you're not going to be the same person.
right,
Like as the years go by, both of you are going to change. And so it's like whoever you feel like you fall in love with might not be the next person later, right?
right,
Your compatibility characteristics at the beginning might not have any relevance later on. Uh, so,
right. I mean, it's there's a lot to that. So, for me, in my experiences, I kind of like to find somebody who obviously I'm attracted to, but somebody that moves at the same pace, that we move in the same direction together, that we're willing to grow individually, but together, and allow space for that. There also needs to be a lot of understanding and allowance of space for the other to grow and to develop into their own person. The respect for each other is super important.
so
Um,
is that like more of the masculine thing, or is that a feminine
I
thing? Is
think
that
it's
need to
just I
be
think it's just a
taught by
human
the
thing.
family,
Uh,
or
I mean, I think that's just a human thing, really. When you're in any relationship or when you're choosing a partner, it's important to choose someone that moves at the same pace. I've dated many women, and although I'm super attracted to them and perhaps intellectually we get along, but then I realized quickly that, oh, well, we're not actually moving at the same pace. We don't actually enjoy doing similar things or
I agree with you, and that's all true. It's all true, and maybe there's a way we could like get an application like for like figuring this out and getting it more narrow, streamlined. But
sure.
given your life experience and giving it an honest try and trying to figure that out yourself throughout your own course in life, and myself as well, that is not the reality. Like even when I find somebody with those sort of like characteristics, we're raised in the same environment, same hobbies and things of that nature, there's still like a mountain of like childhood traumas and neglect
Sure.
and own emotional trying to fit to a sick like a maladjusted society in a sense as well. And so you gotta like, okay, we got a great personality, we like the same stuff, but can we focus like and get our shit together enough to try to like raise a family, it,
Yeah.
given the social attacks on within the school system, the media, the news, our food, deodorants, whatever,
Well,
shampoos.
if you
It's like it's a war out there against us, right?
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
and I'm not saying that it's hopeless. Like what I'm trying to say is like as a man, for me, seeing the landscape, at least at my age now, I'm able to be like, okay, this is what I want. I know what I want. I want to have a family, right? I know how chaotic the dating environment out there is. I know how chaotic the social environment is right there. So I have to create a container in which it'll be possible that this will have the best outcome. Is that it might be crazy because some people out there are just having random sex and popping out a dozen kids and just like they don't even think about tomorrow, right? So like I don't know if my strategy is really that great.
Well, I think, there's an intention behind your strategy. It's not just, tossing it up to the wind. It's like there's a level of accountability there within yourself. And I think that's important within the individual to have accountability, to take responsibility. especially if you're bringing a child into the world. That's a commitment you're making to do your best and bring that child up as the best that you can. I
So
think
maybe
that's
having it as a family effort, multi-generational effort.
I
Because
mean,
like, there's so many levels to this too, like the family home, multi-generational home, right?
oh, that's
Like
amazing
if we
if you
want
have
the
that.
best environment and outcome,
Yeah,
like take it to the family home where you still got, grandma and grandpa around,
for sure. For sure.
that can help out.
Not everybody has that. I think that's sort of what I was
But
saying
everybody
before.
should, maybe we should start getting back to that.
Oh, 100% we should be getting back to that. The family unit, and it goes right. I mean, European cultures, and perhaps a lot of Eastern cultures still operate like that, and that's important because that the family, the elders share their wisdom and, keep everybody in line, so to speak. Um, and the information gets passed on down the line, and I think it's a real beautiful way to actually live and be. However, not everybody has families. A lot of families have been torn apart over time, and that's a whole nother conversation as to why that's been happening. I think that's by design as well. But I think in relationships, there's, a few simple things like you have to have self-accountability for sure. You need to respect yourself and your partner and allow space for sure. These are really important things. Certain morals that you both live by that, that are in congruence with one another. That's really important as well, especially if you're bringing up a child, you have to have a similar vision. You know, like you might
But
be,
like given that youth are very kind of erratic, but that's also where our peak fertility is at. So like like for me, like it's
yeah.
not going to be easy to explain to the youth. Like I wouldn't be able to understand that as a youth. It would have to be kind of like,
No, but this is part of the education that comes from the parents. I mean, the school's not going to provide that anymore. Probably should, but this is part of the education. Like you, for example, you've got a child. Are you not going to instill good morals and values into your child? You know, how to just simply be a good person. And if you're seeking somebody out, they should be seeking somebody similar with good morals and values as they have. I think that's important. I mean, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, you
yeah,
know?
but with two families working towards that intention with their children, like, with an arranged marriage, let's say, like, oh, let's say like I want to like have my daughter be with like Lee's son when they get older, right? That'd be an arranged marriage. And I
Right.
realize that that's like a morally integrous family and that we have that relationship and we could set those goals for our kids and kind of like imprint them
Sure.
in, early on. So,
For sure. I mean, you could try, but there's also attraction and all these other things that come into play. But I think in the olden days, arranged marriages was kind of, it worked for those times because perhaps there was less options. Um, and it was just part of the culture. It was just the way it was, and you just had to deal with it, and you had to learn to love your partner.
well, maybe the
Uh,
culture developed that way because the other result is where we're at now, which is like population decline. If we just don't control it or have the families fall apart and then there's no control over it, sure, everybody can do whatever they want to, but are we having enough kids to maintain society and keep the infrastructure going and keep the streets clean? And but no, it's not. It's dissolved into like just a hedonistic society. That's just self-indulgent and
totally.
there's people in fentanyl addictions piling up in ditches dead and
Yeah.
it's been going on for decades. And so as comfortable as it might sound, uncomfortable it is for arranged marriage. And that's like, oh, it's not following these, the principles that we grew up with. I would argue the principles we grew up with haven't served us uh, in our society at the moment. We're in a further state of decay now than we've ever been.
No, no, I mean, society is evolving so quickly now in the past, 20 years. It's, since the internet, it's just moving at this astronomical pace. And it seems that everything around us is counterintuitive. It's trying to, the shit they spray in the air is trying to pollute us. Our foods aren't that clean anymore. The shit they put in the water, the stuff
They're
all over the
literally like
internet.
liquefying dead bodies and using them as fertilizer for our crops and spraying the skies with poison and
Yeah.
like putting dead bodies in the
Well, it's
fast
like
food.
it's like everything's trying to
It's
kill us, everything's trying to dumb us down,
100%.
down to even like the curriculum and the school system and what is actually being taught to our children. You know, we're going to get to a point where, are they going to be like blue collar laborers? Like the young kids coming out of school now, they don't want to get their hands dirty anymore. They don't want to do backbreaking work anymore. You know, they'd rather just be an influencer on TikTok or something and make ridiculous money, which can be done. Or, a lot of women are on OnlyFans and doing things like that, and they think it's okay to do this kind of thing, because what are people worshiping these days? Money. That's what's important. That's what has some sort of value to them. And it doesn't matter how they get it. That's the thing. The moral compass is completely gone. It doesn't matter how I
And
make
how many people,
money.
but my argument would be is like how many people realize that
Not
or how
many.
many people even care to look and see it as a problem.
That I think that's probably where it's at. How many people actually care? How many actually care? And I'd say
Are
there's
they
less
too
and less.
are they too confused in their own mental states to even have the ability to care? Is it just like drug induced, hypnotic, dopamine fixes? And
Yeah.
so it's like trying to create a care in that.
Yeah. I'd say that that's definitely part of it. I'd say there's lots of angles to this. There's lots of angles to it.
So maybe like a strong family unit would self-regulate the members to avoid a lot of these scenarios.
You'd think so, but it's hard to say. I mean, and there's lots of stresses on families these days, just because everything's so hyperinflated, it's like, so traditionally, traditionally, the man would go to work and he'd make enough money to pay the mortgage, buy food, put his kids through school, while his wife, looked after the household, took care of the kids, made the food. It was a team. It was teamwork involved. Now both parents have to go to work, right? Just to maintain these same things. So then,
That's why I would argue that we need to get back to like the homestead
yeah,
model
I think so.
because that eliminates those problems there.
Yeah,
That we
yeah,
don't have to like work so much for so little anymore. We what we
no.
work stays with us and our family and can be passed on to future generations.
Right, right. I think there are people waking up to that, I mean, there's also a lot of the things of the bright lights, people want money just so they can spend more money so they can show off what they have, buy a better car and expensive watches and expensive clothes and the designer this and that. I mean, none of it means anything. What's really important is growing your own food, perhaps living in a nice area, perhaps having some sort of a homestead, like you're saying, and creating that kind of environment. That to me is what's important. But a lot of people don't care about that anymore. They're not interested in getting their hands dirty. You know, I think there's a huge disconnect going on from, firstly, a disconnect from your surroundings, the earth, and a disconnect internally. And I feel like we're more and more plugged into the mainframe, as it were. We're more and more looking for just short-term gain. What's a quick little dopamine hit? What's going to make me feel better? Spending money, scrolling. I mean, simple little things. It's just
it's a sick situation.
Yeah,
Like
it's really layered.
it's an entrapment at all levels. There's a malicious intention going on here.
Yeah.
I don't think the wheels have just fallen off the machine accidentally. I feel like there's a planned malicious intention for the destruction of mankind.
Yeah, I agree. It's been steered in this direction where we're at and where we're going. It looks progressively worse every day. Every day. I fear for the next generation. I mean, I
Right.
already
Yeah.
struggle and have a hard time. I fear for the next generation. It's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it seems to be less capable, less solutions, more hopeless.
Yeah, it does. No, it does. It truly does.
And
People
so
don't
then we're
stick
supposed to
through.
like find a good relationship partner within this
Well, yeah,
environment.
there's doesn't seem like there's much hope. People don't stick through things anymore, you know? They really don't.
So those few people that do realize the severity and the dire straits that we're in, like say us, what would we do on a personal level in order to resolve that?
I mean, the only way I could think personally to resolve it is to, like you said, build some sort of life outside of the cities, on land, like a homestead kind of thing, like you were saying, grow my own food, be as self-sustainable as I possibly can, and eject myself outside, pull myself out from all of that, the EMFs and all that kind of, drink clean water, like I've said, plant my own food, and instill these nice, warm, simple um, ideas back into the everyday life and bring my child up that way. Probably not put my kid into the schooling system. That's one big thing I would not do.
So these things I have come to the conclusion as well, and I have created a place where that's possible here in remote jungle mountains of Peru, right? Beautiful homes, fertile land, year-round running water from the mountains. Um, and I struggle to get people on board with it. And I feel it's in a large part due to how, just to put it bluntly, sick society has come, mentally ill society has come to be able to find their way out of the mess they're in and to like once even if they are even able to see solutions to move in that direction. I think we're so, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit hopeless here, but I feel like, we can't, that people are incapable of moving that way. Maybe it's the alcohol, maybe it's pharmaceutical drugs that cloud their minds so they can't see or can't move themselves in a direction that'll promote their survival at this point. People are still voting and arguing about politics. And these people are openly satanic savages, uh, and people are still arguing like there's a discussion to be had about like whether who should vote for who sort of thing. It's like what? Why are we even participating in any of that narrative? It's
Yeah,
just like brush your hands off and walk away.
right. But I guess it's too hard for people to actually unplug and walk away. That's the thing. Being self-sufficient it's not easy work. It takes work.
That's
I
why I think it
like
was
it.
multi-generational before. It's because it took many generations of family to build it.
Right, the
That
village.
sustainability.
Yeah, yeah, it was a village mentality and everyone worked together and everyone had a place. And it was, from what I see, it was a beautiful way of living. The old people would get older, but then, the children would look after their parents as they got older, and then they would impart their wisdom, and then they would look after the young kids. And while the parents could go off and work in the fields, and everyone had a place, everyone had a position, everyone had a use. Now, what do we do? When you get old, you stuff the old people into an old person's home and go visit them maybe once a week, and they sort of deteriorate because they don't have any use anymore. And the kids, who are the kids learning off? You stick them in daycare so you can go to work and make money. What are
And
they
so they
being
learn
taught?
state curriculums and
Yeah. And who developed the curriculum?
television and media,
Exactly, who developed the curriculum?
pedophilia, Satanists by
From
the
what?
documentation and records and admits of the people that actually created them.
Yeah,
They're pedophilic
that's
Satanists
right.
that develop the curriculum for kids. So it's like, and it's known, and they admit it. And so people are still putting their kids in school. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, if
Yeah,
we can't just like, oh, whatever, oh, they found human DNA in McDonald's, I'm still going to go and get my breakfast there. Like, if we can't figure this out, like, and I'm not saying that it's humanity's fault. I think we've been corralled into like a
sure.
coma state of consciousness.
Yeah,
So for me, this is why my focus has been on plant medicines in the hopes of just shocking people
right.
into back into their humanity. Because I felt like that would be the strongest path forward,
Yeah, I
rather than
thought
trying to
so too.
convince them the fish that they live in the sea.
Yeah, I thought so too, to be honest, and that's what attracted me to that. Now that I'm living back in a city, it's interesting because I've been living out on the fringes for 10 years, and all of a sudden in the past few months I've gone back to society, so to speak, or live in a city, and I kind of see what it is. It's like living in a fog. There's a blindness to it all. It's like everybody else is doing it, so I guess I got to keep up with everybody else and become a cog in the whole big system. And then you get stuck in that. You get stuck there and you can't see the forest from the trees. Don't even realize. I mean, COVID was a pretty good indicator to me as to how majority of people just ate up the narrative. And oh yeah, these injections
Shocking.
are, yeah, I know. These injections are coming out and it's, you got to do your piece to save your neighbor. Everyone's got to get jabbed and you're doing the right thing. And people just believe that. They go, yep, yep, we're doing the right thing. Let's do that for our
Really
fellow human.
intelligent people believed it. Really, like, top of their class, like
Yeah.
FBI, CIA, government ranking officials, people with
Oh,
like
doctors.
PhDs,
Yeah.
getting 4 or 5 shots.
Yeah.
Like, what the, like, but for me, it was, there was never any doubt it wasn't good for you. Never occurred to me for a moment it was good for
Of
me.
course.
But just because it wasn't a new narrative, it's a narrative that I've been exposed to my whole life about vaccines and government control. It was like I grew wise to that in my teens.
I think a lot of
And
people
so when I
still
saw,
don't think that.
yeah, like, so what's
Well, a lot of people still don't realize it, or they've seen the facts and they don't want to believe it. It's too much. It's too much. And you don't want to a lot of people don't want to let go of their lives. That's the thing. People are far too willing to be led. And that is something that is very clear to me. Autonomy,
mm,
sovereignty. I think a lot of people don't even know what that means, those words. You know? You go, oh, well, I've got to keep going, got to keep paying the bills, I've got to, a mortgage, and I understand that, of course. What happens if you stop paying, if you don't get the vaccine? Well, then you can't go to work. Well, then you can't pay your mortgage. Well, then you might lose the house. Well, then the whole family is going to suffer. I understand that. I
it all
get that.
started from youth, from education, just putting them in first grade, kindergarten, second grade, third grade. By the time they're so indoctrinated, they don't see any other way out.
Exactly. I mean, doctors, why couldn't they see it? That was the craziest part to me, you know? medical professionals couldn't
A
see
lot
it.
of them were killed. Like that's where we're at with it. Like a lot of the people that did speak up were just killed. There was like two presidents around the world or two world leaders that didn't go along with the narrative,
Yeah.
and they were assassinated right away. Uh,
I know, and that in itself should ring alarm bells for people and go, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? Why is this happening? But it's just some
right.
weird
We're
spell that people
so
have been in.
it's so in our face. The woman president in Mexico, Catholic Jew. No, no, she's a Jewish woman in a Catholic masculine country that got elected. And I was like, how did that happen? And I found out she had 32 candidates run against her. And all 32 of them were assassinated within 4 months of the election.
Really?
And so, and like doctors and scientists like that are involved in virology or in vaccine work. There's like, or naturopathics just being killed, like hundreds of them being killed. Uh, so it's like there's a definite control of the narrative, and people that are awake or consciousness and that might go against the narrative are just, there's money out there that just eliminates them. So
Well,
I think we
the
need to be
young.
independent right now. There's no like, I'm going to run for president and change the world. That's not how this works. And anybody that tries that's going to end up in a ditch. Obviously,
Right.
it's happening over and over again.
Right.
So it's
So,
like the water car guy. He's like, I want to sell this product. It's like you don't sell products. What you do is you empower people. You empower men and women around you with the idea of a water car or with the idea of a homestead by doing it, just, and he was doing great. He would drive it all over the country. He was doing local radio shows with it. But as soon as he was like, I'm going to take this product to market and sell it for currency, that's,
exactly. I mean, the hydrogen motor's been around for a long time. Why aren't we driving cars with hydrogen motors in them?
I even suspect that probably most of our jet airlines run on hydrogen. That's like, I think we'd even use the technology. Or the elites use it so that they can save on gas prices. And then they just continue to charge the rest of us.
Right.
I don't think jets run on fuel. I think they use a little bit to start them up. But I think after that, they're hydrogen engines.
It's possible. I mean, that's a theory that's floating around for sure. I mean,
Yeah, it just makes sense with the weight ratios of fuel and distances traveled.
we have technologies, that are out there, but why aren't we using these? You know?
Because you can't control people. This is the misconcept. This concept here is like we think that the people in charge are ultimately working towards the benefit of humanity because we look at them and we're like, oh, they're loving people. They have family, they have friends, they live in community. Why would they want to bring about the destruction of all that?
Right.
Well, because they've been compromised, because they probably not even are real people in a lot of ways. I mean, most of them are just admitted actors and actresses, and most of them are complete liars and complete deception traps.
Well, they've been put there by somebody else. They've been groomed, you know, to take these positions, is what a lot of people don't realize. You don't just get there
Mhm.
just because, for whatever reason. You're pretty much put in these positions, uh, and that goes a lot deeper, but, you know, I guess fear is a big thing. It's a massive thing. Fear. People don't want to question the narrative.
Well, then, so is if we could just stop thinking of them as people and just be like, maybe it's our role as men to protect society, protect women and children,
Mhm.
and we need to take matters into our own hands.
Sure.
Not through violent means necessarily, but
Oh, there are means that we
realize
can
what we
do,
want
but
and
we all have
protect
to
it.
do it. But we all have to do it collectively. We all have to do it together. That's the
I don't
part.
think that's maybe, but why can't we do it individually for now?
Well, we can, but if we're going to have, like, just say, for example, like working class people throughout COVID or whatever, if people just stop paying tax, for example, everybody together just stop paying tax, what are you going to do? Throw us all in jail? I'm not paying tax anymore. I mean, you could shut things down very quickly and bring things to its knees, as it were.
Sure, sure, but like we're the system has us where they want us.
Of course.
Like as soon as
Through
like the
fear.
trucks start rolling, people are starving and they go resort to animalistic behavior in the street, tearing each other apart at some point.
It's true.
What they should have done in COVID is everybody just start a garden, like, immediately, just go out and just start growing food, uh, forming community, strong community bonds, community gardens, trading with each other for goods and services, creating credit systems with that you can trade around in different communities
Right, right.
instead of money.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Back to the exchange kind of thing that used to exist. It used to exist. I think just life is just so, I think convenience has really ruined a lot of things these days. It's just far too convenient. You can just order food online now and it just comes to your door. Don't even have to move. Order your groceries. Do you even know where that comes from? You know where it's grown? People don't care. People don't care. I mean, and to be fair, things are expensive. If I want to eat organic, it's expensive. And I have to pick and choose what I do and don't buy organically, what foods are organic that I buy because it's just it becomes very expensive.
The
The
only
cost of
solution
living is
is
expensive.
you you got to do it yourself. We have to be sovereign and independent, and it might take generations. If we start right this moment, it still could take a couple of generations.
Right?
But if there's no other solution, we can't afford to buy the food that is offered to us in the store that's toxic and kills us, and
Right.
we can't afford the health care, which is just butchery and trying to kill us too, or the homes that are completely bad for our health and energies if we live in and sleep in them. It's we what it's just
I mean, what do
there
we
is no
do?
solution within the current framework.
I mean, the thing is, you have to move out of the cities. A lot of homes are apartments. There isn't even land to plant food, so that already, or a lot of houses don't have decent sized backyards. Things are expensive.
All over Europe right now, there are chateaus and villas
Hmm.
for less than it costs for a flat
For
or an
sure.
apartment in the city. You
Yeah.
could buy a 50 bedroom or 50 room home, like in the countryside.
Yeah.
That's
Look.
dilapidated, but
Yeah.
you can get in there and just start right away and start making a life for yourself and your family.
Absolutely, you can. You can. But again, it's like, how do you service that? How do you pay for things? Like, how do you get to work every day? How do you sustain that? I
You
love
don't.
the
Your
idea
work
of
is your house. Your
yeah,
work suddenly becomes like maintaining the well.
for
And
sure. But you still got to buy materials and whatnot, right?
right, it is a transitional phase. Like, and maybe that's where we could come to, like, I don't know if we can do it. We are so disempowered at this point. Like, let's say that your whole family was like, let's go move into a chateau. You sell your cars, you sell your homes, you sell all of your possessions. You could raise, say, $1 million.
Mm.
And then you move into one of these chateaus that might cost you less than 100,000, because a lot
Right.
of them are under 100,000.
Sure.
And then you got like 900,000 to live on. You're not driving back and forth anymore. You're just like, let's focus on minimizing our costs and maximizing our own independence. Maybe you could, maybe it is possible. Maybe you could get it going for $900,000. Try to create, if everybody in the family is working together and trying to save money and trying to make the dream
I
happen.
mean, yeah, absolutely. Look. So my family's from Portugal and they live out, they grew up in the village. As I've grown up and gone to visit, I've realized that all the people my age have left the village and they've gone and moved to the cities. Why? Because there's education, there's universities, there's work in the cities. There's no work out in the village. There's unless
No,
that
because they have to work for themselves in the village.
exactly. So unless you return back to the old ways, which I'm totally down for, and plow the fields and work in that way, the way that our ancestors used to, you can't be out there, right? But now what I am seeing, so a lot of these villages became abandoned, right, in the past 20 years. As the old people start to die off, the kids have gone into the cities, and so the houses are just sitting there. No one even, nothing. But now I've noticed in the past 10 years that random people from other countries are starting to buy up these houses in the village because they come with decent amounts of land, and they're starting to populate these old abandoned villages now. Buying a house maybe costs 30,000 euro. Not much. And the house isn't that far gone either. And it comes, on like acreage. And yeah, sure, it might be out in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely. But there is a possibility there where you can grow your own food. You can do all these things, but it takes effort. Absolutely. Brings your costs
Maybe
down.
there's a transitional stage within that too, because a lot of these people are doing e-commerce with Starlink,
They are, yeah. So that's
and then they
that's
have
another thing, yeah. Like the digital nomad thing, yeah, for sure. That's what I see happening a lot. People that have the capabilities to be a digital nomad are the ones that I actually see on the ground that are doing this, that are buying these older houses, fixing them up a little bit and living off the land. So they're in the middle there. They still have the capability to earn a bit of money while doing what they want to do and creating their dream. And that sovereignty, that's inspiring. That's what I'm seeing. You know, sure, they might not be making a lot of money, but they're living. The cost of living is very low.
yeah,
So
I mean, like, what does a lot of money do for you anyway? For me, it's like even with like I see people with a lot of money dying of horrendous diseases and malnutrition and toxicity.
yeah,
Like for me, it's like how like even if I have as much resources as possible, can I focus it on maintaining my own health properly? Because it doesn't matter like how much money you have if you can't eat properly or treat yourself properly, live in a proper environment, what's the point?
exactly. There's no point.
Anyway, I think we should wrap it up for today.
No, but these are great, great conversations, and I like where it's at. It takes guts. It takes courage to do this. It really does. And that's really what I want to see in the human condition is just that people to start building up their own inner light again. And I feel like, there is a lot of revolt through this whole process. There is a lot of people that are seeing things for what they are, wanting to get out of built up areas. These whole what's happening, these smart cities that are going to start to get, these 15-minute cities where you won't have to leave in the 15-minute, within the 15-minute radius of where you live, where you can get everything you need in that area. And a lot of people are like, no, hell no, I don't want to be contained. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So these hard times are creating the rebels. It's not the rebels that create the hard times, it's the other way around. And we all need to kind of really be rebellious within ourselves and get out there and do what is right, what we truly feel is right. Have courage, have guts, put it out on the line. And if we don't want to do it for ourselves, we need to do it for the future generations. Because what are we leaving behind, really? So, something to think about.
Well said. We just even buy more of the same unless we make that change.
Yeah, that's it. And all we can do is just lead by example and show people
That's
what
it.
what truly is possible. That's it. And then it will get to a critical mass eventually where, there'll be more of us and less of them.
All
Anyways,
right.
all right.
Next episode, we'll be discussing chateau prices and locations.
We'll come up with strategies. All right. See ya.